What is going on, guys? MJ2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the high-grade correct century Turn A Gundam from Turn A Gundam, the loneliest kit in the entire Universal Century line, as it's the only kit under the high-grade correct century subline. The box doesn't come with an excavation toolkit, but 9 runners, with one of them being a white version of the old PC001 polycap sheet, an average size sticker sheet, and the instruction manual. Like all others made under the All Gundam project, the build feels rudimentary, and the ingenious gate placement ends in near invisible nubs after a proper cleanup, which results in a very quick, easy, and presentable build that could even put this kit on the first time builder's radar. Some elements like the shoulder armor and cap thrusters may be a little bit tricky as they deviate from convention, but otherwise it is a very clear-cut build. After a relatively short straight build, the Turn A Gundam looks delightful when it comes to its proportions, as the kit does capture the weird design elements of the late Sid Mead, from the rounded aesthetics on the exterior armor to the details and layers embedded within that will benefit from panel lining, showing that Bandai didn't skimp out on the details for making this kit look futuristic. And since the only thing between the pilot and the battlefield is a glass pane in the crotch, Bandai went through the effort to mold the cockpit detail in, which no one would really notice if it's absent, but appreciated attention to detail nonetheless. I especially do respect the attention put into the characteristic leg thrusters too, as each of the blades are very defined. Color separation is great as well, with stickers for the eyes and the black and red details on the forearms and legs, but the latter could benefit from paint as they do peel off quite easily. There is also a Turn A symbol sticker for the head, but since the sticker doesn't really blend in well and the detail is already molded in, I painted the symbol in, which looks massively better compared to the sticker. However, I'm not a fan of the light colors. In fact, it's not even anime accurate because the colors should have been much darker. Moreover, you do need to remove the seam lines on the arms, head, and ankle armor. While the former two are off to the side so they're not that noticeable, those on the ankle armor are facing front, so clean those up while you're at it. Standing at the 14.5cm mark, it's taller than the average Gundam despite not feeling like it until you put the grams beside it. Otherwise, the height is not discrepant from the scale. I just wish that the modern 1:144 scale Turn X is released so as to have both brothers together, but probably not for another 493 years will they actually meet again. Articulation begins with a double ball jointed neck, so you can do the funky chicken, go up, down, not so much, side to side very decently, and a full rotation. But be careful of the mustache in case you snap it, it doesn't recover itself. Now the arms over here can swivel forward and back, and these back shoulder panels can swivel back, so you can move the shoulder armor a little bit to bring the arm up. But what reviewers don't show is that you can actually force the shoulder armor past and give it more articulation, so it isn't as hard to pose this kit as I thought. Now the arms can move out perpendicularly, and there is no other shrug in the shoulder, so that's all you get. There's a rotation right above the elbow and a single joint at the elbow. I would have wished for a little bit more, but the joint design doesn't allow for that. And the wrists can do the washing machine, so you could use this for your washing if the wrists aren't so loose because of the stupid polycaps in there providing a very weak connection. Now the waist over here, don't expect any crunches from it, it's completely solid, but you can expect a full 360 rotation. The front skirts can move, side skirts are on those ball joints that people used to hate, but they aren't as loose anymore for whatever reason. And there's an absence of back skirts. Now the legs can move a little bit forward and back separate from the waist, and they can go out almost a 90, going back basically a full kick towards the back, and not necessarily the full split because of the joint and armor design. There is a slight rotation at the hip, and a double jointed knee that provides you a little bit more than a 90. Feels like it could have done more, but this is acceptable. And the thruster blades over here can be moved with a slight joint over here, so you can make some more dynamic lunging poses. And finally, the feet can move forward and back, a little bit of side to side, and a little bit of rotation, so not much there. But the toe can point down for more streamlined aerial poses. Finally, the beam saber holsters over here can swivel up and down. Articulation is subpar when compared to conventional kits, but it is pretty decent for the Turn A design. It's not the most flexible thing in the world, but you can still get a decent amount of poses out of this thing. However, the looseness of some of the pieces, especially the wrists, do hamper the fun of posing this kit, so be careful with them. For accessories, it has a pair of holding hands and open hands. Not only are there options, but the fingers on both types of hands have the textured detail, which I do hold high regard for. There is also an unpainted core fighter, but the only way to display it is by using the flat peg adapter from the Ashen Base 2, which is a weird design since they could easily bore a standard 3mm hole onto it. Plenty of panel lining options though, so it's something that is worth bringing out. There are also alternate panels for the torso, which thankfully are easy to remove, to open up the multi-purpose silo on the front, which do have defined missile details, but unfortunately no cow, moo, and the rear holes for owners of the P-Bandai expansion set to plug in the Moonlight Butterfly effects. But the inner details of both panels need to be painted in grey for 100% accuracy. If aerial poses are more your thing, remove the crotch plug and plug it onto an Ashen Base, sold separately. Weapons start with the beam sabers. They're stored in the rear shoulder holsters, but are quite loosely held in and can be knocked out easily. The handles have quite a bit of detail to keep the futuristic theme, and they can be plugged into the hands for use with the included SB13 beams. The grip is thankfully secure thanks to the hole and peg, but the looseness of the hands themselves do hamper the fun of posing with them a bit. Next is the beam rifle. Accurate representation and unique looks aside, all the red are jarring stickers which could have been achieved with a red piece sandwiched inside instead. There is a handle that can flip out, and the rifle can be plugged into the holding hands for a very secure grip. The huge stock doesn't get in the way of posing too much, which is definitely a plus. Alternatively, the stock piece can be replaced with an extended version for an extra handle that needs to be painted grey, and can be sandwiched into the hand loosely for usage. It honestly complicates the posing setup, and coupled with the very loose wrists, it is not really worth the time and trouble doing so. To store it, there is an alternate holster piece for the left beam saber with a clip to accommodate the rifle. While it does clip in well into that one sweet spot, any grazing will cause the rifle to slingshot out. Finally, we have the shield. It looks very unique, being in an eye shape, and everything is colored plastic, even the bottom parts. You can simply plug it into either arm, and it is held in securely thanks to the peg and the braces. And it doesn't get in the way of the arm movement, which I do appreciate. For storage, collapse the white pieces into the shield and replace the right shoulder holster for the one with the peg to plug the shield onto the back. The beam sabers could also be stored into these custom holsters, which is a nice touch, but not in any better effect than the standard ones, unfortunately. To wrap things up, the Turn A Gundam might not be everyone's cup of tea, but undeniably the proportions look fantastic and it successfully encapsulates the actual design. Attention to the surface detail is great, especially those on the hands, and color separation isn't all too shabby apart from the rifle. However, the brighter colors are completely inaccurate to the anime, which just rubs me in a weird way. And while there aren't any visible nub marks thanks to the clever gate placement, you might want to clean up the seam lines, especially those on the ankle armor. Articulation is acceptable for what the Turn A is, but in general pretty limited unless you get around them by forcing the joints to move beyond the armor limitations. But even so, the loose wrists and weapon storage are going to be the major hindrance for fun posing, even though the rest of the kit is held together very well. Otherwise, the unusual aesthetics granted this kit a unique build that deviates from convention while keeping the simplicity of high-grade kits. Gate placement is wonderfully done, so it's perfectly manageable even for beginners. It's not the most sophisticated nor involved, but at least it's enjoyable to build and touch up. For 1500 yen without tax, it is perfectly reasonably priced given its simple construction and high attention to detail, so it's a quality kit for a very cheap price for building and for beginners to challenge more involved panel lining. In the end, it averages an 8 out of 10, so it stands its ground despite being 7 years old at the time of this recording, and a good option for a 1:144 scale model of the Turn A Gundam. If you like it, that is, because I know the design is rather debatable among the community, but this kit is a fundamentally good representation of the Turn A Gundam. So that about wraps it up for this review. Tell me in the comments below what you think, and I thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe for more Gunpla reviews, Gunpla news, and all that kind of stuff. Turn on notifications for future content alerts if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video. Hang loose and peace out.